And we are live. And we are here, and this is Youth for ACES, an amazing, just y'all, amazing group that I met on a random town hall because the pandemic is terrible. And I wanted to connect with people who were younger than me. And I met some really, really great people, some of whom are on here tonight. And we were fighting for $500 of stimulus funds for 17-year-olds. And we have a petition. We'll make sure we drop the link in the chat and also in the comments. But then they were like, all right, that's not enough, especially since the Senate isn't taking up that bill yet. But they also wanted to make sure that especially youth voters and first-time voters and all voters had all of the information that they needed in order to cast their vote. And we're celebrating today a little bit late because that was my fault, but also it is National Voter Registration Day. And so all of the information that we're giving you is just to help make sure that you know what to do in order to exercise your right. So with that said, let me just say one more thing. No question is a stupid question. I don't care if you've been voting for 10 years. So many changes have come to Virginia. The only stupid question is the one that goes unasked. So please put your questions in the chat. Tempest will help us see them from the chat and from Facebook. And so I'm going to kick it over to Francesca. Francesca, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Francesca, as you said, and unfortunately, I'm not able to vote this year. I'm 17, but I really am interested in helping you guys learn how to vote. So this year in Virginia, we have federal and local elections, depending on where your location is. So for the federal level, we'll be electing the president and the vice president of the United States, the United States Senator, and congressional representatives based on your district. Statewide, we will also have 2 proposed constitutional amendments on the ballot. The first one is on redistricting, and the second one is on tax relief for disabled veterans. In some areas in the Commonwealth also will have local elections for city council and school boards. And once you are registered to vote, you can sign into your citizen portal and see what's on your ballot.
Awesome, Francesca. Thank you so much. And I forgot to say, some of these teams are around Virginia, and we even have some national presence with one of our teams being from outside of Virginia now. But now we're going to kick it over to Devin to make sure before you know how to vote, you got to know how to get registered, right, Devin? So tell us about how do we register to vote?
Hi everyone, my name is Devin Rasco, and I'm going to be telling you how to vote. So just for a forewarning, in Virginia, if you are convicted of a felony, you do lose your right to vote. After you're finished parole or probation, you can register to vote and be able to vote. So if you have finished your probation and you're all paroled, then you can register to vote. You can visit restore.virginia.gov to apply for that. October 13th is the last day to register to vote in Virginia or to update your voter information for the November 3rd election. And you do both of those at bit.ly/your VA vote matters. With your DMV issued ID, this is the same website that you use to get your absentee ballot as well. So that should come familiar. If not, then I will definitely make sure that the address is dropped in the chat. So yeah, and then for registering to vote, it is very important because only registered voters can vote in the election. So if you're not registered, you can't vote. So there's no point of really talking about voting if you're not registered, which is why we're pressing so much on learning how to be registered to vote, learning how to do everything, making sure you have everything set to register. It's really easy, register today and don't wait, because the time will come faster than you think, and they're gonna be like, oh wait, I didn't register, then you can't vote. So make sure you get that done. And if you are 17 and you will be 18 by November 3rd, you can register now, and make sure that you do register now, because you don't have an extended date. It is the same date for everyone else, but if you know you're gonna be 18 by November 3rd, you can still register. And if you usually vote at school, but you're home for distance learning, be sure to update your registration information to home or request your absentee ballot. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Devin. And that's so right. y'all just talking about it until you're registered, right? So I love that. And so Isaiah, who has moved away and is super far, but we're staying connected through Zoom. Tell us about how you can vote.
Okay. First, if you have the option, please make sure you vote early. You can vote early from now to October 31st. Two ways you can vote. You can either vote in person. You can go to any polls. Oh, what's it called? Polling station. You can go to one of those. You can check online or contact your general registrar to see if there's any places open for for in-person early voting. Or you can wait until election day. Or you can go online and apply to vote absentee. It will be sent to your house. You With it will come an envelope, and once you complete your absentee ballot, you will seal it in that envelope that's provided, and you will go on to drop off locations in your local area.
There any other ways? You can phone a friend. I'm here if you need me.
Please help me, Delegate Price.
No problem, Isaiah. I would gladly do it. So you're right, Isaiah. Once you request that ballot, if it's mailed to you, like wherever you are. So let's say Isaiah was just visiting out of state and he was old enough to vote, and he wanted the absentee ballot to be sent to where he's visiting or taking care of a family member during the pandemic, but I'm away from where I would usually vote, or I don't want to go out because I'm like, it's a pandemic. I can get that ballot mailed to me. Now, what I can do is what Isaiah was saying, I can mail it back to the registrar's office, or I can take it myself to the drop box, or I can take it and return it in person. And so that's what he was saying, if the ballot already comes to where you live. Now, the other two ways that Isaiah was talking about were, if I want to go early, I can go now to vote. And that is because we have 45 days of early voting. Now you don't even have to have an excuse. You literally just go to your registrar's office. We saw the lines in Northern Virginia, have a really great turnout across the Commonwealth, and you can vote in person all the way through October 31st. So all the way through Halloween, you can vote early in person. Or if you would like to, on election day, which is November 3rd, you can show up in person at your polling place, and with your mask, with your voter ID for any of the in-person options, social distancing, right, guys? Maybe a little hand sanitizer. I take Lysol spray in case somebody coughs around me or whatever. But those are the ways that you can vote safely during the pandemic that Isaiah just told you about. And so now we're going to hear from Parrish. Parrish, what you talking about?
Hey guys, I'm Parrish, and I'm going to be talking about the importance of voting because it is very important to vote. Election day is now a state holiday, showing that voting is important. And the only way to get your voice heard is by voting. So you can't complain if you didn't vote. So now's the time to register and vote. It's important to me that you vote because I'm 17. I can't vote for another year at least. But there are a lot of issues that impact me that if you vote, like that impacts me. And since 18 and 19-year-olds were all in the same age group, it's really important that you use your voice so that the people that can't vote, that are like 17 and 16, can get their voice heard too through you. And voting is historical. People have died for our right to vote. Women couldn't get the right to vote for a long time, as you know. African Americans, so many people were arrested and beaten and went to jail many times just for your right to vote. So please make sure that you exercise your right to vote because a lot of people didn't have that. And history shows that a lot of things didn't happen because a lot of minorities couldn't vote. So make sure you're voting to get your voice heard. And there are so many things that voting can impact, whatever you're passionate about. If you have student loans that are really high and you want that to change, vote. That can get changed. Your environment, if you want the environment to be cleaner, go vote. Gun violence, there are so many lives taken every day from gun violence. Go vote. Whatever you're passionate about, there is a candidate that will help make that better, whatever's wrong. So make sure you vote, get registered. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you do because it's very important.
So I'm so proud of y'all, first of all. And I know y'all hate me gushing over y'all, but y'all are really, really amazing. You came up with this idea, and I'm just here to support. So I'm going to ask you the first question before we go to see if there are any questions in the chat or in the comments. And wait, raise your hand if you're old enough to vote. Well, yes, Tempest, thank you. Shout out to Tempest, my chief of staff, an amazing right-hand person who is always with us having fun and keeping the fun going. But so these are 4 individuals that do not have their own chance to vote in this election, who are taking time on a very late evening to ask for you to do what you need to do in order to vote. And I think it's super important because what you all have shared, but what Parrish said at the end, some of the things that are important to y'all might be a little bit different. We got a lot of years between us. It's been a lot of years since Tempest and I have sat in high school chairs at Heritage and at Warwick, right? But so tell us about some of y'all's the issues that you really care about so that we'll know when we're voting for you, what we should be keeping in the back of our minds, because I'm gonna tell you, they said millennials were bad. Well, I'm a millennial adjacent, but they said millennials were bad. They think y'all's generation is just unplugged. You only care about yourselves. There's no way that you're showing up to vote. If somebody's not perfect, you're not going to support them. You're doing these protest votes or whatever, but y'all are here. Y'all seem to care. So what are some of the things that you all care about so that my age and older can know?
I would say that our generation, that we're looked down upon a lot from older people and just different older generations, is because I like to say that we don't accept wrong, and that if there is wrong, that we want that to change and that we want it to change now. So just for the people in office, we want them to be able to change what is wrong. And so if they can't do that, then we will find a way. And that's why I think that we are so passionate about everything. And I think that in the government, like at the end of the day, we know that the government does have, you know what I'm saying, they make the laws. So they govern over everything as far as comes to college education, lowering student loans, because we are realizing the things that other generations, maybe they've realized, but they haven't necessarily asked for it to change as much as we have, and we're not settling for it anymore. And we are letting that be known that we're not settling for it anymore. So that's why I think that it's very important for us to vote, because then we're voting who we think will change, getting registered and getting all of this, because we do have, I would like to say we have the upper hand, as far as just we're growing older, we're the younger people in the generation, we're going to be here longer than older people, obviously. So for us to change what's happening now, we have to start now. Because if we start later, then it's going to be too late, because in the next generation, it'll be their turn. It'll be more important for them. But yes, we are living in
Absolutely.
this world, but we need things to change, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, Francesca, what about you?
Yeah, definitely similar thoughts as Devin. The fact that we're pushing for change, but it's really difficult. Like, we don't have necessarily the power to make that change, especially since some of us can't even vote yet. So, voting for those who will make a change and will listen to us. And like specifically, like my concerns are like police brutality and like Black Lives Matter, things like that, and putting attention towards these things, and rather than ignoring them, like focusing on these issues. And yeah, just making change and like listening to what the people are saying. Like, just we want a candidate, a president who will listen.
Awesome. Parrish, what about you? I know you mentioned the environment, you mentioned gun violence prevention. You have anything else to add?
Yes, gun violence prevention, the environment, college affordability, all of those things are really important. And that's why I think it's important for people in our generation to vote. I think that every generation, like every new generation, goes through like that thing where like they're coming up and the older generations always have something to say, but we always have to prove them wrong. And the way we can prove them wrong is by voting, because like Devin said, we're going to have to deal with these things longer than people in their like 70s or 80s will. So it's important that we vote and get the change that we want and what we need.
Absolutely. And we are welcoming Torn with us, but we're going to go to Isaiah next. And Torn, be thinking about what are the issues that you're passionate about and why you want to make sure other people are voting. Isaiah, what is important to you?
One thing I would say very important to me is like human rights, whether it be women's rights, people of color, LGBTQA members. With our generation, I would say we probably completed a lot. Like the Supreme Court was saying, your job can't discriminate against your sexuality, gender identity, sexual orientation. But we still have like a lot to work with, like especially with police brutality and then abortion. Like a woman, I feel like as to me, being a man is not my right to tell you what you as a woman can do with your body, what I think is right. And then yeah, I just say human rights is a really big thing to me.
And so Isaiah, one of the things that you just raised made me want to like say this too. It's important that the positions that are on the ballot that Francesca described, that you know what they do. Well, the president and the senators are the ones that put Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court. And so if you're worried about what the Supreme Court might or might not do, you want to make sure that you have a president and a Senate there to because that's where the confirmation processes occur. You want to make sure that you're like voting for people that will put on a justice that you would want them to act the way that you want. So knowing what all of these positions do, knowing what the president does in the executive branch, knowing what senators and congressional representatives do in the legislative branch, and then of course, like she said, if they're local entities as well. And so now we're going to go to Torrin. And Torrin, what are some of the issues that most interest you, where you're passionate as to why you want to make sure those of us that are old enough to vote actually register and show up to vote?
I would say African American rights like the recent racism that's going on in America. I feel like we need justice for everything that happened with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Michael Brown. And also as like Isaiah said, human rights, like with the LGBTQ, because that we are all human, we are all the same, we bleed the same. I feel like we all deserve our rights, no matter color, race, what you prefer.
That's beautiful. I will say this before I kick it to Tempest. I have a lot of hope in the future because of working with you all. So like when I saw y'all show up on that town hall, Devin, you were from the STARS program with the Commonwealth's attorney in Newport News. Isaiah, you were a page in the House. And Parrish, you and Torrin were at Achievable Dream when Tempest and I worked with you guys for the summer program. And Francesca helped me write and pass a bill that changed state law. So you all are in this and you're not even old enough to vote. So y'all out there listening that are old enough to vote, how could you not? How could you not take 3 minutes to get registered? And I'm not sure how long it takes because I need y'all to stay in the line, even if there's a line, but however long it takes to vote in order to help these young people get what it is that they're fighting for and need. So I just think y'all made the best case. Us old folks, we vote because other people tell us to. Y'all are telling us to. So now I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go do it. Let's go do it. But Tempest, do you have any announcements or upcoming information that the people might need?
Yes. Okay, so our announcements, we will have part 2 of this conversation on Sunday, September the 27th at 3 p.m. So there'll be more information coming out about that. Please check out our page for the flyer. As Delegate Price mentioned, the 500 for 17 petition, I put it in the chat on Facebook, but it's bit.ly/500 FOR 17. So again, that's in the chat on Facebook. So please make sure that you sign that petition. And as always, our office is open. So if you need to contact us, you can contact us via email at DELM Price at house, HOUSE, spelled out, .gov, or you can call and leave us a voicemail or text us at our office number, which is area code 757-266-5935. And please make sure that if you call, you leave a voicemail, because we are in and out of meetings for special session. So we will give you a call back when we are free.
That's awesome. Are there any closing statements or anything that you guys want to share before we come back to meet with the people on Sunday?
Can I just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Kind of to agree with what Francesca was saying, and add about what you're saying about the Supreme Court and how the president isn't, you know, I know a lot of times people are like, oh, who are you voting for the president? But it's not all about the president, and voting for what you want to happen, and that making sure that you educate yourself on everybody else and not just the president, especially being young. How Francesca was saying, we're 17, and I know that a lot of times being younger, you get, it can be misconstrued that about our points, you know, it can be belittled because a lot of times younger people don't have more mature, you know, they're not as mature as adults, and they might not know more, you know, or at least that's what society thinks for the most part. So that's why we are voting. That's why we want you to vote, because we can't have our voice heard for the most part unless it's by somebody more powerful than us, which is what we're trying to change. So by doing that to vote, we can change that in the office. So yeah, that's it.
Anybody else? All right. Well, I again want to say how proud I am of you all, and thank you all for putting this together. I am literally here just for support. Tempest and I are just here to have fun with y'all. So we look forward to see everyone on Sunday, where we'll have more information. We'll go through a little bit of this in more detail. So if you have any questions, especially if you did not know that there are those two proposed constitutional amendments on your ballot as well, we can talk about those. But just want to say thank you all and good night. We'll see you on Sunday. Bye.